The news at the top and bottom of each hour. And now, here is the host of the show, Frank Sparks.
It's 24 degrees in Beaver County on this Tuesday morning. It's December the 16th of 2025, and it's the third Tuesday, so you know what that means. Mr. Tom Young is in the house this morning. Don't forget, we'll also have chances for you coming up in the 11 o'clock hour to win yourself a chance. You can get registered. We're going to give it away on Friday to win our stocking stuffer Christmas basket, our Christmas stocking. So, Tom, you can see it right in front of you, all those great things there that
absolutely
different people have given away. But the question, if you enter online, here's the question. I want to get this out of you before we get rolling here. What is your favorite Christmas cookie?
My favorite Christmas cookie?
Yes.
That's easy, raisin-filled.
Raisin-filled, okay.
Raisin-filled
all
cookies,
right.
Chocolate chip are number 2.
All right, you know what mine is? All of them.
Oh. Well, my dad used to have a saying, you'd ask him what kind of pie he likes.
Right.
He only likes 2 kinds of pie.
Right.
1 crusted and 2 crusted.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. So, but yeah, so you'll have your chance a little bit later to win that. You can go on our Facebook page and enter right now at WBVP-WNBA, and we're continuing to add to it as we go along as well. So it's well over $500 in value at this point in time. But it is the third Tuesday, and Mr. Tom Young is in the house. Merry Christmas to you, Tom.
Merry Christmas, Frank. It is absolutely wonderful out there. We're going to have a heat wave today and tomorrow and the next day after being in the 10, 12, 13 range for the last several days. It's going to warm up, melt the snow, and it's Christmas next week, and everybody's hoping for a white Christmas, and it's going to warm up. So I don't know whether we're going to have a white Christmas or not. And it's just unbelievable what kind of a day it is. Hey, folks, I'm Tom Young. I'm here third Tuesday of every month on the radio show, and it's just an amazing, amazing year coming to an end. I always look forward to the end of the year. It is a year, time to reflect on what you did good or bad during the year. Did it produce something? And today I want to focus the show on growth today. I brought a book with me, Earl Nightingale. Now, Earl Nightingale, he's been around a long time. I don't think he's with us anymore. I think he's passed away. But this particular book is called Habits for Success: The Pathway to Self-Mastery and Freedom. So I think we're coming up on the new year in a couple of weeks, and it's important to have some kind of goal for next year. I mean, what are your goals? See, everybody has lots of dreams and wishes, but wishes are only wishes unless you put a date on them. In other words, I want it by, and then you write out a plan. We're going to talk about that today.
Okay.
Before we get started, I always want to start every show with a prayer.
Absolutely.
The world needs prayers today. America needs prayers. We pray for all of those that are distressed in their lives, medically, personally, and otherwise. We pray that the goodness of Christmas and celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ coming up in like 11 or 12 days. We pray everybody to have good blessings and wishes. We pray for our country. We pray for our president. The country's in a mess right now. They're just... And it's a long story. I don't want to go into that today. Frank told me come back and listen to me on the 29th and the 30th.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the 30,000-foot view and how I see things that I have seen for a long time that are coming true. We pray for Ukraine and the conflicts in the world that are going on, that somehow the Lord would intervene in these people's minds and help them to lead the path, to get on the path to peace. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank you. You know, I've authored several books. I've written articles that have been published internationally. And right now I'm on big on LinkedIn. I hired a firm for marketing, and we're doing LinkedIn. And it is so hard for me to communicate my message. And I read something the other day. I was a seminar, and it was a note. And what I'm an advocate for children. You know, when I talk to families, fathers and mothers who have families, I become the advocate for the children. Because if the planning is not correct and if the thinking is not right and something happens to one of the parents, what generally does that mean for the family going forward? Because very, very few families are truly prepared for that kind of an event or a permanent disability in their lives. And the people that are affected most are the children in those homes if mom and dad aren't protected properly. So protected properly, what does that mean? Well, it has to start with thinking. How do I think about things? What is really going on in my mind? In Earl Nightingale's book, he wrote in here, I marked the page, and it's the 3 P's and an F. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. And he put in here, education can give you 4 objects of life: poise, power, peace, and freedom. I read incessantly. There's probably 6 books beside my chair in my bedroom where I sit and read. And it says here, an educated person has an open mind, the ability to toss even the most cherished beliefs into the trash if they find they're not true. And think about that statement for a minute, because what is going on in America right now? We have seen so much misinformation fed to the people over the last 10, 12 years about politics and the president and everything going on. And now all of a sudden it is actually factually being proven that all of that was misleading lies because of Trump derangement syndrome. And I don't want to get into politics that deep, but I'm more concerned about how we think. That's the purpose today. So reading books and doing something, in other words, I meet young people who say, I graduated college, I swore I would never read another book. Well, shame on you, because that means you're going to be poor and broke, and you're going to be part of that 95% that end up dead or dead broke. An educated person, you listen to all the information someone else can give you on a subject and then draw your own conclusions. And being able to take in information and then interpret it in some way in your own mind is important. You never laugh at new ideas. Never say that something is impossible, ridiculous, or that it cannot be done. And that is what people today are constantly led to believe. There aren't any new ideas. One of the things in there, he talks about cliches in the book. I'm not going to go into them, but the one here, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, folks, I'm 76 years old, and I'm just getting started. What I have learned over my life has led me to the ability to gain more knowledge. Because I believe I have an open mind. I listen to all the sides of the stories. I try to look at it with empathy and understanding. You cross-examine your daydreams. A lot of people have become great by realizing that some daydreams can become practical realities. There's a little saying here that I took out of a book years ago, and it was a book called Power of Thought was the name of the book. And in the book, it says, there is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, in which in its original state permeates, penetrates, and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces a thing that is imaged by the thought. A person can form things in their thought, and by impressing his thought upon the formless substance, can cause the thing which is thought, which he thinks about, to be created. We're sitting here in a room that is filled with technology, Frank, right?
Absolutely.
Where did it come from?
Somebody's mind.
Somebody's idea before it was ever a reality. Somebody thought. When what was it? Marconi and Edison. The telephone and sending voice over a wire. I remember as a kid, we used to get 2 tin cans and get a cord and you could actually hear from one to the other in through those cans, that vibration that went through that. It is absolutely amazing. An educated person discovers your strengths and then makes the most of it. And each of us has one. Nothing succeeds like success, but mainly because a person has found his strong point and has learned how to use it. Now, I talk to people about that all the time. What is your purpose? I mean, what is the meaning of your life? What did God put you on earth to do? I believe each individual on earth has a purpose inside. But we have been so brainwashed by the have-nots that you can't do this and you can't do that. And then people, well, I couldn't do that. I mean, I've heard that. And there were times in my life where I said that myself, where, I couldn't see myself doing that. And we talk ourselves out of success. You learn the value of good habits and how to form them. Habits create results. You know, we can have good habits and bad habits, but the habits that we create in our lives determine our future. You when not to think and when to call in the expert to do your thinking for you. Sometimes we have to do that. I mean, I have mentors in my life that I have couple of men that I have known for 30, 40 years that have had unbelievable impact in my life because they were more successful than I was. And I was willing to sit at their feet and listen to what they say. And the same thing with books. I mean, I read books. So I guess these people are part of my mental group. They're part of my counsel, so to speak, in the way things are. An educated person doesn't believe in superstition. It's amazing and pitiable that a great number of people believe in lucky charms, certain days such as Friday the 13th, or signs such as the breaking a mirror, black cats, and other irrational beliefs still around from the dark ages. And the point of all this is we have truly been programmed to think. Who programmed us? I believe there is an inner circle, a body of people. We refer them, the deep state is a common. Yeah. The World Economic Forum, Charles Schwab, you know, the people that are out there they are multi-billionaires, and they believe because they have accomplished that in their life, that it gives them the power to determine the rest of our futures. You live a forward-looking, outward-looking life. Psychology divides the world into two classes, introverts and extroverts. The inward-looking introvert loses health, efficiency, happiness, and so on, while the outward-looking person builds, constructs, organizes, achieves, and harnesses the energies of the world. Most people are a combination of both introvert and extrovert, but it's important that we turn ourselves and our minds outward, not inward. Number 10, you cultivate a love for the beauty, the beautiful. Beauty can be a fine book, good music, nature, a painting, one of a million things. The educated person sees beauty in just about everything. You know, all I'm trying to share with you today, folks, is, you know, how did Tom get here? How did I get to this thinking that I have today? Well, I mean, I've shared my story. You know, I graduated high school with a D-. They were glad that I was gone. I wasn't a troublemaker, but I was an outie. I just didn't participate well with other people. And the few times I did, I ended up in trouble. So I learned very quickly that being with the guys led to trouble in most cases. So I got out of that. I went to the Air Force, was in the Air Force, got out of the Air Force, got married. I got a job in the mill, was there a while, ended up with my own business, Tom's Auto Body. And after 3 years of that, what I thought was the dream job turned out to be not really what I thought it was. And I fortunately was able to sell the business. And I worked in the Ford dealership for a year. Then I entered the financial service business. In 49 years ago. In January will be the beginning of the 50th year that I have been in this business.
Wow.
And I can't comprehend that today, Frank. I can't comprehend that today. I was 57 years ago, I was in the U.S. Air Force. That was a long time ago. along the way in the insurance business, I had a couple of events that happened in my life that I think all of us, if we look inward and look back in our lives, there were things that happened in our lives that were turning points. They were things that impacted our road to destiny, where we were going. You know, Robert Frost, the book, The Road Less Traveled, it led us to that road. And I was only in the business a few months. I wrote a little family policy on a guy, John and Beverly, and they had a brand new baby, was a few months old. And I wrote a family policy on him, his wife, and some insurance on the baby. And I don't know, it was 4 or 5 months later, it was a call come in the office one day, and I just happened to be there, and the baby died. I mean, how do you fathom that? I was 27, 28 years old at that time. How do you fathom that? And then I had to go deliver a $5,000 check, which was meaningless compared to the loss of that little child. And I remember going to their apartment in Bridgewater and laying it on the table, and we all cried a little bit, and I left. But that, I have never forgotten that experience in my life. A year or two after that, I was involved in a sale. I won't mention the name, but it was a father and two sons. They owned a couple of farms. One of the sons was a truck driver, and the other son ran the other farm. The other farm was cattle, and the father ran the farm that was grain and all that kind of stuff. And I wrote a policy on the father and on each of the two sons, sort of like a family buy and sell agreement to protect the farm and do that. Well, I was new in the business, and this was a big deal. This was going to be one of my biggest sales of the year. And I remember sitting at this man's home on a Sunday afternoon, and both kids were there. They each had 2 or 3 kids running around the room, and it was like sitting at the big dining room table, and there were about 12 people, the kids, the wives, and all this sitting around the table. And I'm sitting there doing a life insurance application. And I fill the father's out, the one son. Now the other son, I'm sitting there filling it out, and I had to do, because they were in their 20s, I asked all the medical questions. And I'm going down through the list, and one of the questions was, "You never used drugs, did you?" No, okay. And I just answered I just went through the questions. 3 weeks after this transpired, I got a call one day in the office, and here Equifax, which is an investigating firm that they did backgrounds on insurance applications. Okay. And the manager in Pittsburgh called me into the Pittsburgh office, and I was in trouble because this one young man was in drug rehab over in Ohio someplace for almost 6 months. He was on hard heroin and blah, blah. It had been 2 years that he has been back on the farm working with the family and clean, but I didn't get that information the way that I got the information on the application, if you get my meaning. It was a game, because in those days, the game was, if I did enough business, I'd get to go on this fancy trip. You know, salespeople around the world have trips, and they go on these trips. So it was a game. How much could I do to win the next trip? It wasn't the seriousness. Long story short, on a Sunday afternoon after all this information opened up, the young man got killed on a Sunday afternoon on a farm tractor. It flipped over, and the pipe went right through his chest, killed him. And because there was misinformation on the application, I had collected money with the application also. And I remember the letter. The company at that time, they could have chosen to write a letter and said, "Look, here's your money back. We're going to underwrite," and there was no coverage, because I bound the coverage with an application with money, and that would have only been good if it had been issued anyway. But they did pay. It was a $100,000 policy claim, and the monthly premium was $26. And that was the beginning of me starting to realize how important what I did was, and what it meant to other people. By not taking it seriously, I could hurt a lot of people. I know we're coming up on the news right now, so we'll come back with more philosophy and success and how to turn your future into something that is dreamlike. God bless. Be back after the news.
Hey, this is Jim from Zookie's Sports Tavern, wishing everybody a happy holidays. Come down to Zookie's this holiday season and enjoy some seasonal cocktails and let my staff take care of you. Just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Beaver County Radio will continue the holiday tradition of Christmas music around the clock, starting at 12 noon on Christmas Eve and continuing until 9 a.m. Saturday, December 27th. You'll hear nearly 70 straight hours of commercial-free sounds of local Christmas musical celebrations from local civic groups and schools. New this year, we will have a replay of the Holly Jolly Christmas concert held earlier this month at Hopewell High. We'll also have the return of a local light-up night that features Christmas musical selections that have been submitted by Beaver County artists. Plus, there will be many of their Christmas classics that we have all come to love. Christmas music around the clock is being brought to you in part by the St. Barnabas Health System, the Community College of Beaver County, Tom Sipes Demolition, McGee Heating and Air Conditioning, J. Young Refuse, Nally Elias and Associates, Moon Township Ford, Moon Township Honda, City Rescue Mission, McClellan's Roofing, and Beaver County Radio.
Step through the gates of Beaver County's sweetest castle, where chocolate is handcrafted and enchantment fills the air. For more than a century, the family at Roseland Candy Castle has been creating confections fit for royalty. Rich, buttery caramels, velvety creams that melt like magic, and our legendary chocolate-covered pretzels, beloved across the land, whether you seek a treasure for yourself or a gift to share the joy. Every bite tells a tale of sweetness and tradition. Visit Roseland Candy Castle in New Brighton or order online at roselandcandy.com. Because at Roseland Candy Castle, every taste is a royal delight and every visit feels like a fairy tale. The holidays are here. It's time to celebrate. Host your office party, family get-together, or night out with family and friends at the Hangar in Moon Township. They'll customize your menu from casual appetizers to full dinner spreads. Enjoy their expansive menu with cold beer, craft cocktails, and good vibes. Don't wait. Party dates fill up fast. Call 724-457-9630 or find them on Facebook. And remember, Hangar gift cards make the perfect gift. The Hangar, 500 Flockety Run Road in Moon Township.
Tune in to 99.3 and 95.7 along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com every Friday night at 7 p.m. for the high school basketball game of the week. Mike Gazadian, Gene Matsuk, and Frank Salapak will bring you all the action that is being brought to you in part by the J&J Spratt Funeral Home, Moon Township Ford, St. Barnabas Health System, the Community College of Beaver County, Tri-State McDonald's, I'm loving it, Drug-Free Aliquippa, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, All Access Car and Truck Sales, the William Murphy Funeral Home, Friendly Federal Credit Union, Zookie's Sports Tavern, and Beaver County Radio.
Hi, I'm Frank Sparks, General Manager of Beaver County Radio. I'd like to thank our listeners for tuning in each and every day, as well as our great advertisers who advertise on Beaver County Radio, who believe in local in Beaver County. We'd like to wish everybody a joyous and happy holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
It might be time to repair or replace that old garage door. Call on Robin and her team of expert installers at Electric Garage Door Sales in Monaca. Dial 724-774-3200 and your door will work like a charm. Featuring CHI quality garage doors, LiftMaster garage door openers, and over 50 years experience, Robin and her team will get it done right. Electric Garage Door Sales. Give them a call at 724-774-3200 or find them online at electricgaragedoorsales.com.
If you own a company or a small business, you might have considered advertising on radio. It's smart because radio is still the most far-reaching media outlet today. WBVP and WMBA can get you results. Get more information at beavercountyradio.com.
At J&J Spratt Funeral Home, we want to take a moment to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our community for entrusting us with your care and support throughout the year. May this season bring you cherished moments with those you hold dear. We are honored to be a part of your journey. Joseph M. Spratt, Supervisor.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Tuesday, December 16th of 2025. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. A fire occurred yesterday at the establishment of Cecina's Sausage Company in Aliquippa. Fire crews were called to the business located along Kennedy Boulevard just before 4 p.m. yesterday afternoon. The owner of Cecina's Sausage Company told KDKA that he was not there when the fire broke out, but was shocked to find smoke billowing from his building. The owners do not know what caused the fire that damaged the building. However, they are planning to work with their insurance company to replace the expensive equipment that was damaged by soot and water. Cecina's Sausage Company has operated for over 100 years in Aliquippa and is also a supplier for the Beaver County Maple Syrup and Music Festival. At approximately 4 p.m. yesterday, the Beaver Volunteer Fire Department was dispatched as a part of the Beaver County strike team to help Aliquippa firefighters to stop a working commercial fire in Beaver County. Crews and several volunteers staffed by one of the fire stations assisted on scene for about 2 hours to put out the fire before heading back into service. The cause of this fire is unknown at this time. Gas prices are 4 cents higher in western Pennsylvania this week at about $3.28 per gallon, according to AAA East Central's gas price report. The national average for a gallon of gas is $2.91. The report also states that at this time a year ago, the average price for a gallon of gas in western Pennsylvania is around $3.42, and the average price that you can expect for a gallon of unleaded gas here in Beaver County is about $3.32. A snowplow caught on fire in Allegheny County early yesterday morning. The report came in at about 12:30 a.m. yesterday, and it happened on Campbell's Run Road near the Collier Township and Robinson Township border. There were no reported injuries, and the cause of the fire is unknown at this time. After 39 years of business in the Squirrel Hill neighborhood of Pittsburgh, Murray Avenue Grill will be closing its doors later this month. According to a post from that restaurant on Facebook on Friday, the final day of serving food and drinks at the Murray Avenue Grill will be on December 28, 2025. Emergency crews responded to a fire that occurred yesterday morning at the BNY Mellon Center building in downtown Pittsburgh at the scene in the 500 block of Grant Street. According to Pittsburgh public safety officials, firefighters were able to quickly put the minor fire out. Heavy smoke caused temporary evacuations to occur, and there were no reported injuries. The cause of this fire is unknown at this time. And according to a release in Harrisburg yesterday from the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency, they are hosting several free webinars to assist college-bound students and their families in correctly completing and submitting the FAFSA for 2026 to 2027. A studentaid.gov account must be made online before attending one of these sessions. The link to do that and the links to apply for these upcoming sessions online can be found on our website at BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Today it'll be mostly sunny with highs of 33 and overnight lows of 27. And look for cloudy skies and gusty winds tomorrow with highs of 40 and lows in the upper 20s. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
On this Tuesday, December 16th of 2025 at 38 minutes after 10, we've got a temperature of 26 degrees currently in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA. Also streaming live around the world at BeaverCountyRadio.com.
You're driving in the fast lane with Frank Sparks on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. You can also stream live on BeaverCountyRadio.com.
It is 10:40 a.m. in Beaver County. Visiting with Tom Young this morning from 1st Concusltants. And Tom, there actually is a question for you on social media.
Okay.
Our good friend Ken, who's out in Illinois, is asking for seniors close to 80 on a D-lined pension. What is a good strategy for investing?
80 years old, D-line pension. That is a great question. appreciate the question, but it's almost impossible to answer that question without knowing everything there is to know about the person and their financial life. 80 years old, I mean, if they have lots and lots of assets, then that's an easy answer. You have to have a diversification of assets that include non-correlating assets. Now, okay, Tom, what do you mean by that? Non-correlating asset means that if the stock market crashes today, it doesn't affect those other assets that aren't related to the stock market. That's what a non-correlating asset is. If you're talking about investing, you have to realize there are two words. There's a word called saving, which means I'm putting my money where it's safe. That's savings. When I talk about investing, that means I'm putting my money where there could be as much as 100% risk to that money. So you have to separate the words between investing and saving. Now, the 100 rule is something that I learned many, many years ago. You take the number 100 minus your age. This person you said is 80 years old, so that would mean 20. So if they were above poverty and they had assets to invest, the 80% would have to be in safety and no more than 20% of their assets would be at risk. And if I'm looking at an investment, I would want that money in active management type investing. Now, what is the difference? Passive management is you go talk to the stockbroker, he asks you a bunch of questions called suitability, which determines whether you're growth-oriented, balanced, conservative, or whatever your element is in that suitability. And then every investment is attached, and this investment could be a growth investment, this is a conservative investment, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to give somebody that has ability to move me in or out of the market. A quick example of that is in 2020. In March of 2020, at the height of COVID, the market went down almost 40% in the month of March. The two money managers that I use, Howard Capital in Atlanta and Flexible Plans in Detroit, I don't manage people's money. They manage the money. And both of those firms were like 70% cash in investments in the middle of February. So I had no clients that were down more than 10 or 12% when the market in general was down 30 to 40%. And by the end of the year, they not only made back the 10 or 12, but they were another 10, 12, or 15% ahead of that because of active managers, people that know how to manage the money. I hope that answers your question. It was a little bit long and detailed, but there's no quick answer to your question. All right. So let's move on.
And keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling. You know, there are two things. Where do we start? Will Rogers once said, the problem in America isn't so much what people don't know. The problem is what people think they know that just ain't so. And that, again, leads me to this thinking thing that we talk about all the time. And it leads me to personalities. Let's really get into this and say, okay, why aren't I becoming more successful? There's a concept, how to break the poverty mindset of financial abundance. And the poverty mindset, let me find my page here. Number one, you lack ambition, which is, unfortunately, I see that happening to young people today because of the indoctrination that happens in our general public schools. It is an indoctrination that goes all the way back to the Fabian Society that came to America in the 1930s. There was somebody yesterday in a college, and I mean, the stuff that they're teaching kids today, they're not going to become successful because the schools don't actually teach kids how to think today. I see my grandsons and it's new math. I was a straight A student in math in high school, but I struggle to understand this method of teaching math that they're teaching today. Isn't it amazing if this was such a good idea? I would think we wouldn't be on the bottom of educated kids. I mean, all of the schools across America generally are at the bottom of the pit in their ability to teach kids. So why is that? Well, you got to go to the colleges. Where did the teachers learn how to do what they're doing? And obviously the colleges aren't focused on teaching people how to learn something. They're in this DEI and woke and all that kind of stuff. So you lack ambition. People who struggle to create abundance in their lives often have a very limited dreams and goals. So are you a person that just takes it as it is and you go forward? I said earlier, and we were talking about cliches, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, how old is an old dog, Frank? I mean, that could be a 30-year-old. Could be a 40-year-old, 50-year-old. Again, I'm 76, and I'm just getting started. You are pessimistic and self-pitying. To be clear, we will find it difficult to deal with bad things that happen to us, and it's not a crime to experience grief, sadness, or anger. In fact, all of these emotions can promote growth and push you towards lessons that help you create a better future. These experiences we all have in life. I have learned a theory in my life. When I look back in the 50 years I've been in this financial service business, I've had years that have been really good. In fact, last year was the best year financially I've ever had in my business. Now, I looked back, and there were years in the past. I mean, I've talked on here about the lawsuit I had 35 years ago, and I got exonerated out of that. But that was a 3.5-year low in my life that it was probably the lowest low of any low that I've had. But looking back, what I've learned is life is about ebb and flow. In other words, you have ups and downs all through life. What I have learned is in looking back, at the low periods and then the high periods that come after, I have found that generally in my life, the high period after a low period is usually better than the last high period. And I've talked to people about this, and they tend to agree with me. They look at their lives and bad things that have happened. It happens to all of us, whether it's a death of a loved one or whatever it is, and the high points. And the high points become higher each time because there is a growth, there is a personal growth in all of those experiences. Challenges are the things that help us to grow by. Challenges aren't things to destroy us, they are things for us to grow by. So when I'm having a challenging period, I actually get excited because I know historically this is going to be. I mean, there's always going to be low periods. There's always going to be high periods. And the next high in my life, it's going to be better than any higher period I've ever had in my past. So I find a way very quickly to turn my thinking around and become more positive about where I'm at and where I'm going. You are a deeply jealous person. Looking at rich mentality versus poor mentality, experts often note that just how much the poor mentality is defined by intent and jealousy. In other words, we become envious and jealous about people that have more. You know, there's an old saying, another cliche, keeping up with the Joneses. I think we have all done that at different times in our life. You know, my TV's better than their TV. I have this big 80-inch, I have a brand new 80-inch TV. No, I don't. But that's the mentality. In other words, when I buy something, it's got to be better than the neighbor Joe has. And so that's what it is. We make decisions based on fear. Fear, false evidence appearing real. Poor mindset is primarily driven by feelings of fear. So even when you exercise your agency, you do so feeling like you're back against the wall. And I felt that. I know you have. We've talked,
Absolutely.
Frank. And we've all been through all of this stuff. You focus on what you don't have, not on what you do have. And I've heard that saying so many times before in what's going on. So The success in life has to start with changing the 6 inches between your ears. So what are you going to do for 2026? 2026. I mean, I'm still thinking 1969 when I got married, 1967 when I graduated high school. And I think of those times in my life, and how did I get here? Albert Einstein said, you can't solve the problem at the same level of thinking you were at when you created the problem. Now, think about that for a minute, because the problems, many problems we have in life, they are self-created. We do it to ourselves based on our thinking and what goes on there. I want to go there, and I want to talk about personalities. I brought my little chart.
All right, do you want to take our break real quick?
Yeah, let's take a. Yeah, you're right. Let's take a break.
All right,
we'll be right back.
Be back with more.
The Kopesack Twins and Valley Vintage Motorworks wishes you and your family a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a wonderful holiday season. Vintage Moped into 2025.
And now, let's gather around the fireplace as your friends from Freedom United Federal Credit Union recite this year's Christmas poem.
'Twas the week before the holiday, and all through Beaver County, people were preparing their shopping list, the kids hoping for a big bounty.
Trips to the mall and a visit with Santa will happen with care, in hopes that money in your account will soon be there.
And just in time to Freedom United Federal Credit Union you'll arrive. With a personal loan or home equity note, the holiday, you'll survive.
And so it ends, another happy holiday. And the gifts, they're quite a sight. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Happy holidays from your friends at Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Beaver County Radio will continue the holiday tradition of Christmas music around the clock, starting at 12 noon on Christmas Eve and continuing until 9 a.m. Saturday, December 27. You'll hear nearly 70 straight hours of commercial-free sounds of local Christmas musical celebrations from local civic groups and schools. New this year, we will have a replay of the Holly Jolly Christmas concert held earlier this month at Hopewell High. We'll also have the return of a local lineup night that features Christmas musical selections that have been submitted by Beaver County artists. Plus, there will be many of their Christmas classics that we have all come to love. Christmas music around the clock is being brought to you in part by the St. Barnabas Health System, the Community College of Beaver County, Tom Sipes Demolition, McGee Heating and Air Conditioning, J. Young Refuse, Nally Elias and Associates, Moon Township Ford, Moon Township Honda, City Rescue Mission, McClellan's Roofing, and Beaver County Radio.
Listen to Beaver County Radio every Monday and Friday in the 11 o'clock hour for the Beaver County Humane Society's Pick of the Litter. We'll be highlighting one resident animal from the shelter that needs a loving home. Pick of the Litter is being brought to you each and every Monday and Friday by Tom Sipes Demolition, Nally Elias and Associates, Balcones Moon Township Ford, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, the Alvarez Hahn Funeral Home, J. Young Refuse, McGee Heating and Air Conditioning, and Beaver County Radio. Check out the Pick of the Litter on our website at beavercountyradio.com.
Hi, this is Diane Brown, sales executive here at Beaver County Radio, wishing you and your family the happiest of holidays.
10:53 in Beaver County. We are currently sitting at, it's a heat wave, Tom. We're at 23 degrees.
Whoa.
It's warming up quick.
Hey, it's going to be in the 50s Thursday. Going to melt the snow and make a mess for a while.
Yeah.
And then it'll freeze again.
It's supposed to snow Friday.
It's wintertime, isn't it?
Right.
This is what it's like. It's why I like Western Pennsylvania, Frank. You know, we have very, very small chance of any kind of tornadoes and those kind of events. We have 4 seasons, and our seasons, every 90 days, we're in a totally different season. And anywhere along the way, it's 15 minutes later could be a different season in Western Pennsylvania.
Only place you can get all 4 in one day.
Oh, when we went to the break, I was talking about personalities. I have an advanced certificate in DISC, D-I-S-C.
Okay.
And a D personality, basic motivation is challenges, choices, control, environmental needs freedom, authority, varied activities, difficult assignments, opportunity for investment. So when I look at this, an I personality is basic motivation is recognition, approval, popularity, environmental needs, prestige, friendly relationships, opportunities to influence others, opportunities to inspire others, chance to verbalize ideas. An S personality, basic motivation is security, appreciation, assurance. Environmental needs, an area of specialization, identification with a group, established work patterns, stability within a given situation, consistent, familiar environment. C personality, basic motivation, quality answers, excellence, value. Environmental needs, clearly defined tasks and explanations, sufficient time and resources to accomplish tasks, team participation, limited risks, assignments that require planning and precision. Now, these 4 personality types, we are each and every one of us a mix of those. Majority of people are dominant in one of those 4. I have been fortunate, and Dr. Rome, that I studied under through 3 different advanced certificates, he said I had the most unique personality that you could have, and I have a level balance of all 4 of these personalities. So in any given situation, when I'm with somebody, I can adjust my personality to better communicate with you, because a D versus an I personality, somebody that's outgoing. Now I personalities are mostly in California, if you get my inference to that. Mm-hmm. I always give people an example. It's 4 people walk up to a building on fire. This big apartment building is on fire. The D personality walks up and immediately starts giving directive orders and gets the fire out as quickly as possible. The C personality walks up and they have a clipboard and they have to make a list. And then they have to prioritize the list before anybody can do anything. And all of these 4 personalities have an Achilles heel, and that's what I'm sharing with you. The S personality walks up, hands in their pocket, sheepish, shy. Can I help? Well, just tell me what to do. I'll do whatever. Now, those are the kind of people you meet. They promise to do everything on earth for you, even beyond what their ability is. The I personality walks up and says, far out, where's the hot dogs and the marshmallows? and so we are all a blend of those personalities, and those personalities make a difference in our lives. There is a book, Positive Personality Profiles. You can get it online through Dr. Robert Rome. I would highly suggest that you do that. I do this with clients when people come in after we've met for a little bit and they're moving forward to becoming a client. I give them an assessment. I want them to take an assessment. It's not a test. There's no right or wrong answer. But I want people to understand their personalities, because I think all of us at one time or another said something or did something. Was that really me? I can't see that as me, but we say things and do things that, wow, I would have never thought that I would have said that or did that. And that means we don't really understand ourselves really well. And I want to round out today's show as we find out with the last couple minutes here. What do I do, Tom? What do I do? Number one, you got to have some thinking. There was a quote that I had here by E.W. Scripps. The hardest labor of all labor performed by man is that of thinking. When was the last time you sat down in a quiet place with a pad of paper and just think and write down some of your thoughts about where you've been, where you are today, and where you would really like to go? What do you want 2026 to look like? Where do you want to be at the end of 2026? And Napoleon Hill, and I'll finalize with this. Let me find it here. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, 6 ways to turn desires into gold. 6 ways to turn desires into gold. First, fix your mind on the exact amount of money you desire. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. Third, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put your plan into action. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition, state that you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. Number 6, write your written statement aloud. Read your written statement aloud twice daily, once before retiring at night and once after arising in the morning. As you read, see, and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. Folks, the power that each and every one of us have lies in our mind. Go to CFO-project.com, get both of my books, The Family Money Farm, The CFO Project, and Financial Mastery Coaching, The Blueprint. CFO-project.com. If you want to come visit me, 724-728-6820, or go online. My calendar is firstconsultantsinc.com. That's a numeral 1ST, CONSULTANTSINC.com. Frank, God bless, my friend.
Same to you.
I'll see you over the holiday. Well, you won't be here.
You're going to be here. Yes, tune in. Tom will be here on the 29th
Monday
and 30th.
Monday and Tuesday after Christmas, I will be here to energize the 2026.
All right. I'll be off from Christmas Eve until January the 5th. So between you and Larry Ferrero, you guys get to hold down the fort.
God bless you and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Tom. All right. Coming up next, it is Town Hall News, followed by local news with Noah Haswell.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.